Welcome back. In this video, framing WH questions. Questions has two types. First is verbal or yes no type question. Second is means second type of WH questions, and WH question always work is who ask WH words and how. And verbal question started with auxiliary verb. In particular, that framing WH questions, the construction is that WH word auxiliary verb plus subject plus main verb plus question. So that's the word mainly we uses while asking the WH questions. In that particular part also you will see that here, if there is no auxiliary verb, we uses to be form do, does, did. If there is singular verb, we uses do. If there is added es, then does. And if there is particularly the second form, then past form of did we uses. So that is the way you have to be seen in last video about the framing WH questions. If there is some kind of WH word indication, where indication place, that time where we uses. If the indication is time in the sentences, that when we uses for while starting the questions. So that's the minor things we have to be understood, and then we frame the questions. So विद्यार्थी मित्रांनो, WH क्वेश्चन फ्रेम करणं अत्यंत सोपं आहे. त्याच्यासाठी आपल्याला थोडं जे कन्स्ट्रक्शन आहे ते लक्ष देणं गरजेचं असतं. तर आता आपण पुढचा पार्ट बघूयात. अंडरलाइन पार्ट. नेक्स्ट, अंडरलाइन पार्ट्स shows reason or cause, then etc. Then question started with why. So here question started with reason, and question may be underlined part because reason and cause. The question started with why. जर सेंटेन्सचा अंडरलाइन पार्ट रिझन किंवा कॉज असेल तर क्वेश्चन आपल्याला WHने स्टार्ट करायचं असेल तर आपल्याला सेंटेन्स घेऊयात आपण. मिस्टर पाटील sought a better job as he wanted to improve his financial position. So, and another sentence we take here as an example. He was disappointed because he could not reach there in time. So both sentences, first has underlined part as he wanted to improve the financial position, and second here because he could not reach there in time. So this is underlined part. So here we ask, the question started with WH. Mr. Patil sought a better job as he wanted to improve his financial position. Answer. So started with WH word means why. Then after WH word auxiliary. So sought is there means past tense. Why did. Sought the first form seek. what did, then auxiliary verb is there, then subject Mr. Patil, then verb seek a better job and question mark. So why did Mr. Patil seek a better job? As he wanted to improve his financial position. Second, first we started with WH word why. Was is here, so we just put up here was. Why was auxiliary is there, then subject he. Why was he disappointed, verb disappointed, and ends with question. Why was he disappointed? Because he could not reach there in time, that's why disappointed. तर विद्यार्थी मित्रांनो, पहिल्यांदा आपल्याला WH वर्ड घ्यायचा असतो. इथं WH वर्ड आपण वाय घेतला, त्याच्यानंतर ऑक्झिलरी या सेंटेन्समध्ये पहिल्या सेंटेन्समध्ये पास्ट टेन्स होता, वर्ब टू होता, वर्ब टूचा इथं डीड घेतला, त्याच्यानंतर सब्जेक्ट, तो सब्जेक्ट घेतला आणि नंतर वर्ब आणि बाकीचा रिमेनिंग पार्ट. दुसऱ्या सेंटेन्समध्ये वाय घेतला, त्याच्यात ऑक्झिलरी वर्ब होता, ऑक्झिलरी जसं नंतर सब्जेक्ट ही घेतला आणि डिसअपॉइंटेड. तर अशा पद्धतीने आपल्याला ते सेंटेन्स सॉल्व करता येते. So now next part, using what as a WH questions. If the underlined part is give the more information, that time we started with the WH word. तर दिलेल्या वाक्यातील अधोरेखित केलेला भाग जर अधिक माहिती देत असेल तर प्रश्नाची सुरुवात WH या शब्दाने करावी. एक्झाम्पल, फर्स्ट, his mother told him many stories about heroes. So in that questions, the underlined part is many heroes. So answer, it is very easier to write down the answers here. Answer, so here identify subject, verb and remaining. Answer, whenever you have to write down, first of all what is come first, what, then auxiliary, told is there, means did we uses what did, then subject his mother, told has we change the first form tell, and remaining part him ends with question mark. What did his mother tell him? Many stories about heroes. That is our answer. So that's way you have to be write down the question answer, making framing questions in your examinations. So now here we started with the WH word if there is person in the sentence. If the sentence has to be underlined with the persons, that time our question may be started with who, and there are some examples. दिलेल्या वाक्यात अधोरेखित केलेला भाग जर व्यक्तिवाचक नाम करता असेल तर प्रश्नाची सुरुवात who ने करावी. एक्झाम्पल, लेनिन started the great revolution. Second, the president will address both the houses jointly. So my dear students, the underlined part is first in Lenin, second is president. But how to frame that questions? Answer. First, you have to be started with who. Who, first sentence. Second, auxiliary. But we just take here the verb who started the great revolution and ends with question mark. Second, who, the will is their auxiliary, and remaining part write down as it is. Who address both the houses jointly, ends with question mark. That's the way you have to be frame the questions here. If the sentence has the underlined part and that underlined part shows the manner, position at the time we started with the word as a question part with how. So there is one example here. The blows fell fast and furs over his body. Second, he placed his around him. He placed his arm around him affectionately. So underline part here in first sentence has the fast and first and affectionately. So let us begin with question. First sentence, how fell. Fell became that past form is fall as past participle fell. So we just here uses did. How did, the noun means subject, blow, then verb, fall and over his body. तर विद्यार्थी मित्रांनो, हाऊ घेतला पहिल्यांदा, त्याच्यानंतर इथं पास्ट फॉर्म होता. पास्ट फॉर्म जेव्हा असेल तेव्हा आपण डीड घेतो. मग डीड घेतला, नाउन सब्जेक्ट द ब्लो घेतला, नंतर इथं डीड घेतल्यामध्ये याचा फर्स्ट फॉर्म उरला, तो फर्स्ट फॉर्म इथं घेतला, ओव्हर हिज बॉडी त्याच्यानंतर घेतली. सेकंड सेंटेन्स बघूयात. पहिल्यांदा WH वर्ड हाऊ घेतला, इथं ईड आहे प्लेस्ड, इथं सुद्धा डीड येईल, इथं सब्जेक्ट ही आहे, ही घेतला. हाऊ डीड ही प्लेस his arm around him and question mark affectionately. So that is the way you can use that question and answer in that way. So next part, if something we can be count, at that time the question started with how many. दिलेल्या वाक्यात जर अधोरेखित भाग हा काउंटिंग करण्यास म्हणजे मोजता येण्यासारखी असेल तर प्रश्नाची सुरुवात ही हाऊ मच हाऊ मेनीने करावी आणि दिलेला भाग जर मोजता येण्यासारखा नसेल तर त्यावेळेस आपण हाऊ मचने सुरुवात करावी. तर बघूयात आपण सेंटेन्सेस. एक्झाम्पल फर्स्ट, there were 8,000 spectators in the stadium. Answer here. How many? Write down first. How many? Then how many? Your underline part is that how many spectators then were there in the stadium. That's an ends with question. That's why you can be asked here questions. So now, if the underlined part shows the distance, that time question started with how far. Example, Yamunotri is only 13 kilometers from Hanuman Chatti. Question, answer. So how far? Write down how far. Then verb is underline part, that is only 13 kilometers. How far is subject, Yamunotri from Hanuman Chatti. And ends with question mark. That's way you can ask the question to somebody else. So I have to be discuss that some of the parts you will be do by your own. विद्यार्थी मित्रांनो, इथं आज आपण फ्रेमिंग WH क्वेश्चन हा टॉपिक संपवलेला आहे. रिमेनिंग पार्ट हा म्हणजेच जो रिमेनिंग राहिलेला आहे तो पार्ट तुम्हाला सॉल्व करायचा आहे. आणि याची जी एक्झरसाइज दिली जाईल ती एक्झरसाइज मला पाठवायची आणि हे पण लिहून मला माझ्या पर्सनल नंबरवरती तुम्हाला टाकायचं आहे. थँक्यू.